Hi everyone. Thanks to the internet, humanity has access to the vast amount of knowledge accumulated by previous generations. If not for the internet, people would not be able to communicate with each other so easily and quickly, even when they're in different corners of the world. And finally, if not for the internet, we wouldn't have seen all of these incredible, frightening, funny, and exciting videos. Videos that are hard to believe are real. Let's get it on. Have you ever tried to catch a fly with your bare hands? This is much more complicated than it seems at first glance. It's not surprising that such scenes are used in movies to prove how fast and agile a protagonist is. But what about trying to catch a bird this way? Not possible, you might say. Yeah, we thought so too, until we saw this video. Two friends were hunting quail in Texas and didn't expect such a surprise. Pastor Matt Carter was together with his friend NFL quarterback Colt McCoy when an amazing thing happened. Carter raised his hand and suddenly grabbed a small bird right in mid-flight, and he made it look so easy as if he'd been hunting this way all of his life.
Oh my God! What happened? I just got that on camera.
What could be worse than a spider appearing out of nowhere? Only a spider appearing out of nowhere in a confined space. Or even worse, in the airplane's cockpit high above the ground. A man named Greg was preparing for the upcoming Aerobatics Championship, but didn't even suspect that he had an unexpected passenger on the plane.
But the waggles were online and it was much more controlled than yesterday.
Honestly, we admire the self-control of the pilot, who didn't even flinch when the spider ran down his face and then climbed right under his helmet. We shuddered, and you probably did too. Greg is a really cool-headed guy, or maybe he simply left the fear of spiders on the ground. A strong wind can break and uproot trees, destroy roofs of houses, send small objects and even animals flying into the air. It can even blow over a moving truck right on the track. You don't believe us? Well, you can easily find such videos on the internet, like this one, filmed in the city of Amarillo in Texas. A truck is driving along the road, but suddenly a gust of wind turns everything upside down. Literally. Whoa! Must have been a really strong wind. The smaller cars were lucky. They're sort of pressed to the road in order to remain safe. Another video was shot near the border between Colorado and Wyoming. Journalist Daryl Orr was following an Amazon Prime delivery truck when the driver suddenly lost control of the vehicle. A very strong wind began to tilt the huge truck and in the end turned it over. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and soon the authorities temporarily closed this section of the road to avoid new accidents. What unusual can happen at the Olympics? Well, actually anything, but even this case seems strange to us. At the Olympic Games in the South Korean city of Pyeongchang, a squirrel ran out on the track during a parallel giant slalom. How did it get there, and why? Well, maybe it's a big fan of sports, or maybe it just decided to take a walk. Anyway, the animal got right in the middle of the track and narrowly avoided death when an Austrian snowboarder, Daniela Olbing, missed the squirrel by a whisker. The animal's life must have flashed before its eyes at that moment. We have to give it to the athlete though. She not only masterfully avoided a small cute animal, but also won the race. Homeless animals hardly ever get affection, but they also want someone to pet them. However, a dog named Linda, who had German shepherds in her family, realized how to get the care she needed. The dog lives in the Turkish city of Izmir, and everyone there knows her. That's because Linda loves to come to the car wash. But what for? To get a free spa treatment, of course. Linda patiently waits for the next car to drive into the box, and then gets next to one of the huge brushes. This dog knows exactly where to stand for the bristles to scratch her well, and Linda gets real pleasure from it. Killer whales are incredibly beautiful, but at the same time quite dangerous marine predators. Although there were no recorded cases of killer whales attacking humans, this does not mean at all that they will ignore you if you encounter them. New Zealander Luke Riley was swimming on his paddleboard off the coast when he suddenly noticed that several killer whales were swimming nearby. He took out his GoPro to record the wild predators, but then one of the killer whales decided to swim a bit closer. Luke became nervous. He had no idea what would happen next. And no wonder, because the killer whale decided to try what paddleboards taste like. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and now the whole world can see these unique shots. Horses are amazing animals. They are very smart, easy to train, and capable of a variety of tricks. But have you ever seen horse drifting? Yeah, it's exactly as you imagine it. A horse brakes with its rear hooves and raises a cloud of dust. Well, it doesn't go round the corner and it doesn't have squeaky tires, but it's still pretty much like car drifting. And no matter how strange or even absurd this trick may seem, it is quite common and even has a name. In a professional field, a horse drift is called a sliding stop. It's the most spectacular part of the Cala de Caballo competition. The horse accelerates to a gallop and then suddenly comes to a complete halt, sliding its hind legs in the marked rectangle. The participant who leaves the longest braking mark in this area receives the most points. Soaking the parachute with gasoline, jumping out of the plane, and then shooting the parachute from the flare pistol. It sounds like a very strange plan for a man who enjoys risk a bit too much.
That's terrible.
Nevertheless, this not only happened, but was even filmed on camera. A guy named Craig Saucier actually did all this crazy stuff, taking a GoPro camera with him. He also took a second parachute, of course, otherwise we wouldn't have this video. It remains a mystery how Craig came up with this idea though. Did he seriously think, what would happen if I shot a parachute soaked in gasoline from a flare pistol right in the air? You are a very weird guy, Craig, really. And here's another weird stunt, which you probably shouldn't repeat. Seriously though, don't do it. In 2014, a thrill seeker Eric Rohner took a lawn chair, and don't ask why, we have no idea, and tied a bunch of huge balloons filled with helium to it, and took a parachute and a shotgun with him. Well, and the camera, of course, to capture this crazy stunt. And then he took off. You probably already guessed what the point of all this was. When he was high enough, Eric just shot the balloons and started falling down, losing a lawn chair along the way. Fortunately, the parachute worked as it should, and Eric landed safely on the ground. What happens if you disguise a GoPro camera as a nut and leave it in a park where squirrels live? Well, the answer's obvious. You can get a gorgeous, albeit short documentary about squirrel life, filmed in first person. Of course, Squirrel won't get an Oscar, but on the other hand, this is probably the animal's first job as a director and cameraman. Unfortunately, the squirrel tossed the camera away as soon as it realized that it was inedible. If only it knew how many nuts it could trade for such a device. Most people think that surfing is all about sea, sun, and the warm season, but this doesn't mean that you can't surf in cold weather, like these guys who went to Lake Michigan to surf at -21 degrees Celsius. Yeah, a rather weird thing to do. They must really love surfing. Don't forget about the strong winds, and you'll understand just how cold the surfers felt. Chinese farmer San Qing-jun is a poultry farmer and a rising internet star. He became famous for walking his chicken and filming it on camera, and he has 70,000 chickens. It's hard to even imagine, but you don't have to when you can see it with your own eyes. The chicken walk is more like a workout. Sang and his assistant move on a motorcycle with a trailer and spread out millets to make chickens chase him. Qing-jun claims his chickens travel about 10 kilometers every day. Also, the farmer teaches them to fly. Qing-jun hopes that in the future, his internet fame will bring him even greater income, and he'll be able to increase the number of hens to 300,000, and apparently begin a chicken apocalypse. And here is a video that clearly shows no one should work too hard, even windmills made from durable modern materials, because you never know at what moment the mechanism will fail, and...
Oh shit! Oh shit!
The authors of the video claim that the windmill was malfunctioning 3 weeks before the breakdown, but for some reason no one paid attention to it. The moral is, don't forget to relax. How often have you seen live crocodiles? Maybe a couple of times at the zoo or something like that? What about catching these predators right in the wild? This video was filmed in Jamaica, and yeah, it's not 100% wilderness. The crocodile was under the bridge and attracted a lot of attention. But the most amazing thing is that the guys who get into the water without any protection don't seem to be afraid of what this dangerous predator could do to them. Yeah, they aren't trying to catch a crocodile. Yeah, with a rope. No big deal. Psst. Dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.